And they were going, oh, beautiful. In liberating strife, who more than self, their country love. And mercy more than life. What I'm saying about tonight is this America, sweet America, may God that glorified. To our success, the nobleness and every gain divine. And you know, when I was a little boy, I remember we always sang these words. Oh, beautiful, broad, spacious sky, amber waves of rain.
Okay. Well, now we can hear that. Oh, so that's the music you selected, Kenny.
Yes.
Ray Charles. I gave you 3 options and you picked the great Ray Charles. Great job. Guys, welcome. This is RioPolitics Live. We have with us a lady by a name, a candidate from Laredo who's running for the Texas Congressional District 28, right? Her name is Sandra Whitten. Hi, Sandra. How are you doing?
Hey, y'all. I'm great. And you know what? Lady was fine. I'm actually the first Republican woman to ever run for this seat. So
really?
Yeah.
And those of us who are new to this Texas Congressional District 28, what does it encompass? I know the main seat would be in Laredo, correct?
Correct. So Webb County is the biggest intact county that we have. But we start in western Hidalgo near the Mission area. We come all the way out here to Laredo, Webb County, and then we go all the way to the north part of Bexar County.
Okay. So what did you get the ugly Democrat part of Bexar County or the somewhat country clubbish section of Bexar County, or what part of Bexar County did you get?
Not my section, but they've been very gracious to me. Ours is a lot of the rural areas. We don't really think of rural area with Bexar County, but we have like Adkins, and we have China Grove and Universal City and Live Oak City and Selma, Converse. So we have a very diverse district. And unfortunately, Cuellar has done a great job of trying to hold everybody down and make everyone think that they were all Democrats. But with having so much rural community, he's been able to just ignore them so they don't vote for him. And Webb County's been able to pretty much carry the whole district, but not, as I've been saying, not on my watch.
Great. And do you, by any chance, I know like Cook Political Report will have a breakdown as to whether it's a Republican seat, a Democrat seat, and plus or minus. Would you have any idea of what the relationship between Republicans and Democrats are in a district?
So it's a D+9 district.
Oh, that's not bad.
We have a unique problem where everybody has to run as a Democrat in order to get voted for. So I was the radical who said, actually, you don't. And what's fun is that a lot of people didn't really realize that the election is not actually decided in March. It's decided in November. So if people ran in other parties, they would get to fight all the way until November instead of, having to end their fight during the primaries in March.
Well, and in a wave election, a D+9 race is actually pretty close. I remember in 2010, with Blake Farenthold, he was in roughly the same sort of a district, D+9, D+10 district, and he was able to beat an entrenched incumbent, Sonoma Northeast, because there was a wave Tea Party-ish election in 2010. And so it's all about turnout. And I know we've had a big turnout in Hidalgo County, Cameron County, Bexar County. But as far as I can tell, like Derek Ryan, who's the former research data person for the RPT, who now does his own work, has been showing that the people that are coming out to vote, and Josh and Manny might be able to correct me if I'm wrong on it, because they're looking at Ryan's data and saying that the people that are coming out to vote aren't new voters. 95% of the voters that came in the first 2 days are not new voters. So that means as long as you're turning out your base, you're turning out Republicans, you have a good shot of winning. Am I right on that, guys? And in terms of the
yeah, absolutely, that's correct.
So,
Definitely.
Okay. So what do you think about that?
Typically that's the case. Absolutely. However, what we are seeing, and it's not just in District 28, I think we're seeing it all along, especially the border counties, is that we've always been told no, and now we're being told yes, if that makes any sense. I've been saying it since I've been down here. I've been in South Texas for 11 years, and I've said these are the most conservative group of people I've ever met in my entire life. They just didn't know it yet. And it was because they've been being told that the Democrat Party was their values, and it wasn't. And so now they're seeing that. And what's even more exciting is that, especially here in Webb County, 4 years ago during the 2016 elections, you didn't see Trump hats. You didn't see flags, bumper stickers. I mean, none of that stuff. So now here in Webb County, for example, and we have the same in Hidalgo County, we have these massive Trump trains.
Yeah.
And everyone told me 2 years ago I was crazy and I didn't know what I was talking about. And I said, y'all don't know what you're talking about. I'm telling you right now that President Trump is going to end up taking the Valley and South Texas. And if we are smart as Republicans, we will just show up and see what happens. And sure enough, that's exactly what's happening. Everyone said it was impossible, and it's totally possible. We're living in a fantasy world, if you will. And it's a pretty good fantasy for the Conservative Party.
And those of you that are watching this, please help us out. We're a page that is trying to get a conservative message out to the Valley, and we hope to be an outlet for that. We're trying to get candidates that are not able to, like Sandra, you're out moving around. They're able to do this video stuff, and that gets you the information you need to know. So please help us out and like our page. And those of you that are anywhere in the Valley, even in South Texas, we have a pretty good little enclave of supporters in Claybrook County, so it's always good. You were saying that now they're telling you yes when before they were saying no. I know what you're talking about, and because the Republican Party of Texas often did not want to help the Valley, or in this case Laredo, and help candidates there. They would say, no, we need to focus on other races. And now they're widening the map, forcing Democrats to defend on their own territory, which is a good thing. So when did you start getting the yes will help you? Around what point in time in their selection?
Honestly, from the party, it really did not. From the party at large, it did not come until Alan West became the chairman. So Alan and I are really good friends. Lisa, which is his chief of staff now, she's just been an amazing support system to me and my small team. So the party at large, it really didn't happen until after Alan took over. For the people of South Texas, it really did not happen until their eyes started getting opened with COVID-19 and all of the nonsense and the monarch style rule, if you will, the whole fear and intimidation situation, that people really woke up and said, wait a second, now we're actually paying attention to what's happening, because we were all at home and they had time to watch the news and they had time to actually do their research and listen to what was being said and what was going on. And the further that we're coming along in this, the more we're seeing people waking up and going, how was I so blind to believe that the Democrats had my best interests at heart, when we have these Democrat-ran communities, these Democrat-ran counties, and everything else, and we're the ones that are on the strictest lockdowns throughout the entire state, and even at the beginning of this, the entire country. Webb County Laredo specifically was leading the charge and scaring the mess out of people with masks and fines and things along those nature, that were not right. They don't match up with our Constitution. They don't match up with anything. And, the governor finally had to come. The governor didn't say anything about what was happening in Webb County till it started happening in Houston.
Right.
But Webb County was doing stuff before New York City was in terms of masks and fines.
Yeah, I agree. Trump trained it's all grassroots in the Valley winning. Yeah, it really is grassroots, and it's and some counties in the Valley, the parties aren't doing anything, and in some other parts of the county, you see the party helping out the grassroots, and that's a difference in style, in trying to get the message out. Your message and why you decided to run. Let's get that out of the way, and then we can go into specifics about what your issues are and give you questions. Why did you decide to run, and who are you? Because I know nothing about you.
That's fair. So I guess it's kind of a twofold answer. So I'll start off with why I decided to run. I'm a mom of 4. I have 3 boys, 6, almost 16, 12, and almost 4. And then God surprised us with a daughter. And when they were calling the state of Texas during the Bobby O'Rourke / Ted Cruz race, I was actually in labor with my daughter, and I was completely freaking out. And I said, if we lose Texas, we're going to lose the nation. So I've been saying this for over 2 years now. And I knew that race was crucial. And when I saw how close it was, I said, I can't sit back and do anything, not do anything. And then the government shut down a few weeks later. We had the partial government shutdown. We're a federal law enforcement family, a Border Patrol wife, and we went 6 weeks without a paycheck. We had a newborn. It was Christmas time. We had 3 other children who knew what Christmas time meant. And we had no paycheck for 6 weeks. My family was directly affected by that government shutdown. And yet I was constantly preaching to people, listen, you've got to support our president in this. Our Border Patrol agents need the support, and, this, that, and the third. And I just found myself kind of interceding and explaining the process to people that had no idea, including other Border Patrol agent wives. And so then I guess kind of the straw that broke the camel's back was Henry Cuellar was talking about we didn't have a problem on the southern border. And I live about a quarter of a mile from the river going, are you serious? I'm watching helicopters fly over my house. I've watched people run past my house from, soaking wet from coming out of the river. And you're going to sit here and lie to the American people about something I'm watching happening. So that was kind of like what really got me into this. Who I am, like I said, I'm a mom of 4. I've always been some type of community servant, and not necessarily in your typical politician way. I've served in churches. I've been on the board for our baseball league. I've taught dance classes. I've taught, like I said, in churches and things along those lines. So I've always plugged in. In fact, with the Border Patrol families, I did fall festivals here in Webb County in Laredo. That was kind of how I got known, if you will, throughout the law enforcement families here. Of course, this was several years ago. So I've always wanted to serve and help people acclimate to where they're at and this, that, and the third. And as I went further into this process of making the decision, and something I've always said was that we're so underserved here in South Texas. We have so much to offer, but nobody's listening. And I could never figure it out. And then as I started going further and further into this, I realized it's because we've had the same leadership for a lifetime, and they
for
haven't
150 years, essentially.
anything.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm interrupting you. We've had it for 150 years since the Democrat Party became the Democrat Party in Texas. We've not known anything other than Democrat rule in the South Texas. The last Republican, I think, that was elected right there in construction, that was governor prior to Bill Clements, right? Was it, Josh, you're better at this than I am, was E.J. Davis, who was from Laredo and Brownsville. And so that's the extent of republicanism really in the Valley. And that was in 1870. And so that's the argument we need to make a conservative. Like, if you want change, why are you voting for the same people, same party?
Starr County, and they said the last Republican that was elected in Starr County was in 1901. And
wow.
And was killed in front of the courthouse in 1906 because he was a Republican. And it was by the family that ended up taking over, there in Starr County and kind of ruining Starr County. So it's the definition of insanity. If we keep doing the exact same thing over and over and over again, why isn't something changing? And politics in South Texas is a striking example of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's important that we have that message. And there was an interesting sort of comment. I'm gonna piggyback off of Bert's comment about the suburbs, about the inner cities. You're having Republicans losing the suburbs allegedly because you're having essentially white flight in from the inner cities and going into suburbs. Well, you're moving Republicans from the suburbs into the more rural areas, and that may help your particular district because, like you say, a lot of your area is rural. And that might help you in order to get that winning streak. The problem that you have is you have a very long-term entrenched incumbent who barely escaped the Democratic primary against an uber progressive. The progressives are probably really, really upset that their candidate lost. They may not vote for him because they don't like him. They're more than likely definitely not going to vote for you because, well, but maybe they will. They might want to send a message to Henry that, you can lose this thing without us.
Right.
And you make him out the winner, and people don't realize that. Is that sort of a strategy on your part, or not really?
A little bit, it kind of is. And one of the things that I think that we've been able to bring to this that they did not expect on either side of the Democrat Party, the conservative, moderate, whatever they want to call themselves, Democrats, even to the progressive, extreme Democrats, was they didn't expect me to be real. Like, I've not held back anything. I don't want to say I've attacked Republicans, but when Republicans aren't acting like our principals in terms of how they're voting or what they're saying about what's going on, I've been calling them out about it. I've called out the governor. I've called out, whatever, because if we can't hold our own accountable, then we're no different. Right. So we've kind of changed the game a little bit. And I don't mean that in an ugly way. Like, I'm not like telling, I hope their dog gets ran over, like none of that, but I'm like, we need to do better, because if not, we're just like the left that we're claiming we're not. So that's one of the things that we've done. The other thing that we've done is we've taken a different approach, and it's something that, I don't like to do things the same old. So how can I preach that I want to be different? I'm not a politician, and then go in and act just like a politician, go and seek out all these endorsements from this person and that person, or blah, 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 blah. Right. But so what we've done is we've said, look, we're real people. We the people. So we're going to act like we the people. And that's exactly how we've ran this campaign. And I'm super proud of it. It's true grassroots stuff. So I tell people all the time, we probably have more in common than what we don't have in common. So let's start there. Because if we can't have a civilized conversation about what we have in common, how are we going to talk about the hard stuff? You can't. So then nothing changes. So now we're exactly back to square one, and we may as well just reelect Henry Cuellar.
Yeah. Manny has a question.
Yes.
Is this your first time running?
This is my first time running for anything other than PTC president.
So
What's that?
in the
a PTA or something along those
Okay.
lines.
Okay, gotcha.
All right. That works.
So during this, now you're in a pandemic, so the traditional stuff is out the door, shaking hands, knocking on doors,
Yes.
the block walking. I mean, some people are doing it now. Have you accepted that challenge? And by jumping out over social media, how are you handling this twist?
So, Facebook has been our best friend, and we have not. Some of it is Facebook's fault, because we've tried to get verified like four different times, and every time it's one thing and it's something different. So whatever. All of our stuff is really, all of our social media push has really been through Facebook, and we've done really well in the primaries. In an uncontested primaries, we had numbers that nobody expected. For example, here in Webb County, we actually had a 75% conversion rate from hard Democrat to Republican in the first week of early voting. That was completely unheard of.
Wow.
They actually had to order more ballots here in Webb County because they were like,
wow.
what is happening? This doesn't happen here.
That's awesome.
And so I tell everybody, this is nothing that I've done. Like I said, we literally just needed to show up and talk about who we are as Republicans and what we actually stand for, and prove it. And that I will take credit for. I've never made a promise that I have not been able to keep. If I've been wrong about something, I come back and say, you know what, hey guys, I was misinformed on this, or I had a wrong opinion, or fill in the blank, because that's how I expect my elected officials to act. So if I'm going to do that, then people are going to take me at exactly who I am.
Yeah, Nancy Pelosi desperately wants Henry Cuellar back to help her make our country even more socialistic than it can be,
Yes.
and for the opportunity to stop that. Have you seen the negative attacks from Nancy Pelosi's DCCC coming into this race at all? And is she
I'm sure that they, we still have almost 3 weeks, so I'm sure we're not completely out of the woods yet. Here recently, we've been called a racist. I just got called racist the other day. So I was like, I did a live on it. I'm really quick on lives. Like I love to do Facebook lives, which I think that's why Facebook has kind of been our go-to, because I can just instantly connect with our people, and I can see their feedback immediately and find out what's important to them then. With that being said, so we got called racist. Then the week before, Henry's henchman, as I like to call him, said some negative stuff about how I'm a bad influence on my children because I say mean things about Henry. And I was like, I haven't said anything mean about Henry. The only thing I have said about him is his policy and what he hasn't done. And it's all been stuff that's come right off of his own lips. So, I mean, if that makes me a bad person and a bad example to my kids, then I guess that's the person I'm going to be. But I did quickly tell him never put my children on his lips again. So that was fun. But other than that, we've been pleasantly surprised. And I mean, we do have people that say ugly things because they don't know any better. Maybe they didn't have good affections. I don't know. My mom always told me not to say something that, if you can't say something nice, don't say nothing at all. But some people don't have that affection. In fact, there was a very crude comment that was just put on my Facebook page today. So that was exciting to see. I mean, I got a good chuckle out of it. Most of the time, when we do have something negative, I laugh because then I think, okay, you know what? We're stirring the pot. We have not been a well-funded campaign, and I actually love that, because it's really showing that this is about we the people and not we the dollar signs. Right. And I think that on both sides of the aisle, we have failed the American people by turning this all into the dollar signs. That's all politics is anymore. So nobody wants to have anything to do with it.
What's the first, if you were to win, what's the first bill you want to file or potentially file or an issue you want to focus on in Congress?
The very first thing I always say is, for the last 16 years, everyone has called this Henry Cuellar seat. And that's the number one problem, is that this is Henry Cuellar seat. And the very, very first thing that I'm going to do is return the seat back to we the people. This is not about Sandra Whitten. This is about District 28. In terms of what do I want to pass, the big thing is that we've got to start passing clean legislation. We've got to get serious about what's going on the border. So it's really kind of, I've done something a little bit unique. Even like I said, like none of this has been by a playbook by any stretch of the imagination. People are looking at my campaign going, what in the world? And to me, it's we've just got to start repealing things is a big thing. Like we've got so much that just gets passed or gets put up that is just junk. One of the ones that I like to focus on at the very beginning of my race was one that Henry was a co-author on, and it was the Equality Act. Now, when you hear Equality Act, you think, hey, this may not be so bad, right? What do you think is in the Equality Act?
I have no clue.
Nothing about equality?
No. You know what Henry actually put into the Equality Act was to send like $500 million to Venezuela.
Lovely.
Oh.
What does that have to do with equality?
Nothing
at all. So if we're going to put up legislation, first of all, the name needs to match what we're going to do. And that's something that we hammered heavy on with the CARES Act and the HEROES Act and all this other stuff. Like we hammered on that kind of stuff because it was so chocked full of just nonsense. If we want to pass stuff, let's make it clean and let's make it right. Now, once we start getting into the nitty gritty of things, we got to take care of our border. We got to take care of our veterans. And we've got to do something about health, how we pay for health care. Healthcare is not the problem. We have amazing doctors and nurses and all of those kinds of things, but it's the ability to pay for it. And this is where the progressive left got it wrong. They want Medicare for all, free health, whatever they want to call it, for all, right? No, we need to get rid of the lobbyists. We need to get rid of the big power hungry, big pharma and big insurance and all that kind of stuff. Let's take it back. And the president talks about this often, and it's something that the more I've come into this process, like I'm on fire for it. It's more of free market health insurance or health care, and it's the doctors and the patients that have already been partaking in it love it. And for districts and stuff like ours, we're foolish for not embracing it, because right now we've got the dependency on welfare, Medicare, Medicaid. Now I understand our seniors, we got to do things a little bit differently for them. But if you're young and able-bodied, but you just don't want to work, we've got to work on that. We do.
Yeah. Do you have any idea what committee you'd like to be on? Because some people want to be on the agriculture committee because they live in a rural district. You might want to be in oil and energy, depending on whether you have Eagle Ford shale in your area. What committee do you want to be on?
It's kind of it's a little bit loaded. For a long time, I was thinking maybe foreign affairs or something along those lines, or maybe we did kind of talk a little bit about possibility of border security, just because, we encompass a lot of the border here. We have 4 border counties in District 28, and we have a lot of agents on, in DHS that need a lot more. There's so many things that we can do to our border that is not being done, that is just common sense stuff, but it requires actually acting. So, there's things like that. It would kind of run into it would get more clean water to people also, with what I want to work. And it's stuff that's been proposed before, but Congressman Cuellar hasn't cared about it. So it's something that it would shake the foundation, but in a good way.
Yeah, the problem with Henry Cuellar, I think, is when he was first elected, they thought, well, he's really a Republican having to run as a Democrat, so let's be nice to him. That's what the Republican Party does to people. They want to pick that token Democrat he's really a Republican. They did the same thing in Congressional District 34 with Philemon Vela. Well, we're just going to vote for him. He's really just a Republican. He just has to run as a Democrat. And then they get to Washington, they do it, and then Vicente Gonzalez, same thing. Oh, he was really a Republican, and it's insane. It's right. Absolutely insane. You have to elect Republicans if you want a Republican in office, because the first vote they're going to do is for speaker.
And you're spot on, because Henry Cuellar, his history, he was a state rep, then he got appointed to Secretary of State, but he did it under a Republican.
Right, Bush.
Governor. It was Perry who appointed him.
Oh, I thought it was Bush for some reason.
But he was really close with the Bushes and the Perrys, and I mean all of them. So they're all good friends. So
that's right.
The establishment Republicans don't have a problem with him.
Right, they don't. The country club Republicans are not going to have a problem with. Right. They're the
Tea Party people and the grassroots Republicans, though, we all have a real problem.
Right. Josh, do you have a question? You're being very quiet.
Yeah. Sandra, what's something about you that most people don't know, that you believe you can use to help you if you do get elected to the House of Representatives?
Gosh, I think that what most people really don't realize, I talk a lot about being a mom, but I've also been in industries on every spectrum. I've been a bartender. I've been worked in churches. I've put on roofs before. I've been a government liaison for shipyard contractors. I've sold 18-wheelers to the oil fielders here in South Texas. So I have a lot of diversity that I can bring to the table. I've even been in retail. I have a lot of diversity that we can bring to that allows me to have a perspective from different walks of life that a lot of people don't. You see your typical politician, and this is not a slight to Henry. He is very well educated, and he's very well, he's I think they call him the most degreed congressman. So it's not a slide by any stretch of the imagination. But I think what happens sometimes is when you've lived your entire life to be a politician, you have no clue what's going on with we the people, like none. And I still have to go grocery shopping. So I know the struggle of a gallon of milk versus, allergy milk. Those are decisions I've had to make for my own family. Do I get to buy medicine this month because my son's got really bad asthma? Or do I have to get food. And we have even more fun because we have to do organics because of his asthma. He also has eczema and all this other stuff. And when we don't do those things, he has really bad outbreaks. So, these are all real conversations that nobody is having. Why? Because nobody cares. That is a long-term, lifetime politician. But your suburban families or your rural families or just your families in general, that's a conversation that they can connect with.
Manny has something.
So we just wanted to let everybody know that your district actually does begin in Mission, doesn't it?
It's like the Palmview, Mission-y area. So like all of that right in there. It's the very western portion of Hidalgo.
Yeah.
So from what I see, it's Palmview, Sullivan City, La Grulla, Rio Grande City, and Roma included in there also.
Yeah.
Right.
So
that's all. And then we go up here.
Yeah, so that way people realize that we're reminding people, because a lot of we have a diverse people that watch our show, so it's like want to make sure they know. So guys, if you live in Hamilton County but you know people that live in Mission and Palmview, please encourage them to vote for Sandra. She needs your help in order to do that, because so many know they think it's Monica. Yeah, the thing is that people do think it's Monica. People in Mission for some reason think Mission is with Monica de la Cruz. No, Mission is in your district.
Right.
And Monica, is getting. I don't like the competition that happens, but there is always a competition among congressional candidates, especially when they're challenging what some might consider an entrenched incumbent. What is your relationship in trying to get people to realize, you can vote for you need to vote for Sandra. You're in MIC versus we want to give money to Monica because we think she has a better shot of winning, beating Vicente. And quite frankly, I don't think she has a shot of winning. That's just my personal opinion, but that's just me. And I think I can have that.
Have any issues with Monica? Dr. Ray, of course, is on the farther east side of Hidalgo County and stuff. I started this race off over 18 months ago, and my whole thing was we've got to all work together.
Right.
And if we don't start working together right now, how are we going to work together in DC? So
right.
We just did this thing, and it was something that I was really honored to be a part of, where y'all saw the whole Texas Reloaded thing, and there were so many amazing candidates that were left out of that concept. So what we did was we worked together, and all of the candidates that wanted to be able to still participate and say, hey, you know what, when we get to DC, we all have to work together. I spent a lot of time all over the state bringing people together, because that's what we have to do, because people didn't know we were down here. People did not know that District 28 has the #1 port. We beat out the city of Los Angeles twice in less than 1 calendar year. That's crazy talk. People don't know that. So when you ask them, and we're not just talking about land port, we're talking about port.
How does that work, Walter? Sorry, Rio Grande City just pulled all your signs up because they rented the boulevard to a Democrat. How is that allowed? How is a boulevard, a public street, rented out to a Democrat? That is absolutely insane that that's happening. So you can explain that to me. I would appreciate it, because that just doesn't make much sense. But then again, it is the Valley and it is Democrat politics. So it is.
That was about to be my exact statement. I think that's very much proof that, and we had the same thing. Well, not the exact same thing, but we had a whole bunch of signs put up in North Bexar County, and the next morning they were all gone. Probably about 50 signs. For a campaign like Henry Cuellar's that has almost $2 million left to spend, to really be afraid of somebody who could barely spend $5,000 on signs for the same amount of land, I think that really speaks heavily about what's happening. They know that we're completely shaking the foundation. They know that when the conservatives get in there, we are going to expose everything. And I've said that since day one. If nothing else happens, if we at least expose the corruption that's going on down here in South Texas, imagine how much better things will be in the future.
It is. Chip Roy has really focused, even though his district doesn't include the border, he has focused a lot of energy in the Valley, in the border, and supporting Border Patrol and talking about, with Breitbart Texas doing those kinds of, I don't want to say exposés, but focused on what's going on with illegal immigration. Do you think that if you're elected, you're going to take over that mantra and you're going to be that person, so Chip Roy can focus on his district and you can focus on border security?
Absolutely. And I've even, in trying to highlight that, we really are involved and that I want to work together with other congressmen and women throughout the state, really throughout the country. I've actually talked about a lot of Chip Roy's bills and things and said, hey, these are actual things that will work. This is how we accomplish it, those kinds of things. And I think that that's something that gives us a different perspective. And one of the things that we started doing since day one is that a lot of people I won't say everyone, but a lot of people were saying, there's no problem here. Like, what are you constantly talking about? And then the news would pop on and there'd be a tractor trailer with like 90 people stuck in the side of it. Right. And to an extent, they didn't bat an eyelash. They're like, but this happens all the time. And I was like, but it's not normal. This is not okay. And when we start talking about it, I'm like, do you see this happening in other cities? No, you don't. So when we stop just dusting it over or sweeping it under the rug, as I like to say, then we can actually fix the problem. We spend tons of money in other countries that are not even connected to ours. If we just put a little portion into what's happening to our neighbors, to our sister cities across the river, to help them combat this problem, imagine how much of a different world this would be. Imagine how much healthier our border would be on both sides again. I've lived here for 11 years. I've never been to Nuevo Laredo. And all I've ever heard is awesome stories about senior frogs, the Chevrolet Grill or whatever it was called. All these really cool places that are within walking distance, essentially. And I can't go because they've all had to get shut down. I did a live video right here from my front yard back in January. I think it was January 2nd. And it was of the live gun violence that was happening literally across the border. I tell people all the time, I'm like a quarter of a mile from Mexico. I sit on my back porch or sit in the front yard and I hear the gun fights, but we don't talk about it. So we can't help our sister cities. We want to sit here and pretend like we really care about Mexico and we really care about immigration and things along those lines. The people in Mexico are hurting and we do nothing to talk about their real problems.
All right. Well, we're going to do what we do rapid fire around this time. Rapid fire is just like random questions, just like whatever. So guys, if you have a rapid fire question, post in the comments, we'll post it through. First rapid fire question, Chip Roy or Dan Crenshaw?
Chip Roy.
All right, good. Favorite Democrat?
Awkward.
John F. Kennedy?
It's okay. You don't have to answer the question. Like, I already have one.
Kennedy? John F. Kennedy?
It's okay. Is there a congressman or congresswoman right now that you're most like?
I hope that I can be like Jim Jordan. He is like, I love him. He's amazing. So I hope I'm the girl version of Jim Jordan.
If you could buy any type of food right now, what would you buy?
Pizza.
Pizza, okay. What color is your toothbrush? I don't know. These are some weird questions. What color is your toothbrush?
So I have two. So the manual one is white. I'm sorry, the electric one is white, and then my travel one is pink and white.
What is one of the things you would put on your bucket list?
I can't believe I'm actually going to say this because it totally terrifies me, but I want to do it. I want to skydive once.
Okay. Your Mount Rushmore of lead rock and roll singers. So give me 4. I don't know. Okay.
I'm getting judged immensely here. Rock and roll.
Well, it's okay. Anybody rock and roll, heavy metal,
So, okay. I'll just say bands because I'm terrible with names. I love Nickelback. I know it's weird.
Wow, that is very weird.
You just lost some votes.
I just lost a couple of votes, but I also gained a few votes. Leonard Skinner.
Okay, you pick some back up.
Okay. And I got one more, right?
Halen, because so I'll say Van Halen and gosh, hold on. I'm so bad at this.
One more.
You know what? Steely Dan.
Steely Dan. Okay.
Oh,
yeah.
Interesting.
You started off really bad.
I just am terrible with names.
Nickelback. I agree, Walter. I guess chess or checkers. This is Ray's question. Chess or checkers? Checkers. Okay. Ray, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry.
It's okay.
It's okay. What is another one? Who is your favorite superhero?
Oh, my favorite superhero. Favorite superhero. I have to say Superman, because my name is Sandra. So I used to always say I was Super Sandra. That's why I would wear Superman shirts.
Oh. Okay. Is Jason Witten your favorite tight end in the history of football? Yes or no? No? Okay, good. All right. All right. And I think we're done with rapid fire. If you have any rapid fire questions, they're on it. We usually, it's a 2-minute rapid fire. 2 minute. That's what we do just to lighten things up.
We got a message.
Tight end, but I was always a Redskins fan, but I don't even watch the NFL anymore.
You're not even allowed to say Redskins anymore. They're now the
that team from
I
Washington.
am not PC, so
it's okay.
HTTR.
Hey, we got a message for you from RGV Trump Train is giving you a shout out.
Thank you guys. Love you guys. Thank you.
Good job. I think the first football game I saw all season was this last weekend with the Cowboys playing their game. I got my snacks. I sat down, turned on the TV, and the first play I see is seriously.
Well, it's good to know that the Cowboys haven't changed.
Yeah, it's just great. I mean, they didn't change. It's just weird, and I feel bad because I've never been a Dak Prescott fan, but it was very ironic that it was the first day back for Alex Smith for the Redskins. So, the team formerly known as the Redskins.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. So my husband and I, when we started dating, like that was one of our fun feud was sports, because I grew up in southeastern Virginia, so the Washington Redskins were a huge thing for me. But he kind of grew up near the Dallas area, near Arlington, so his family is a huge Cowboys family. So that was like our thing. And then when the NFL started doing all the kneeling stuff, and it wasn't so much the players that I had a problem with, it was the commissioner and his inability to enforce their own rules. That's when I had a problem. Well, then, it keeps carrying on and it's gotten worse with all the nonsense with it. But then when they changed the Redskins to the football team, I was like, they didn't even give me anything to come back to. So now we just watch college football in high school and all that kind of stuff. That makes sense. I love sports, but I can't subscribe to them just trampling all over our country anymore.
What is your thoughts on Section 230, and what would you like to do to Section 230? That if I'm right, that's the internet one, right? That's the one that does the publisher thing with Twitter.
Okay.
Sorry.
It's too much censorship. They need to get over themselves. Every single one of them, including you, Facebook, because you keep messing with my lives around election days. You did the same thing during our primaries. So quit it. We don't go to you to censorship. We want to have the Flash. Yes.
Flash is okay. I don't get why he's a superhero. He runs fast. Yay. That's okay.
No comment.
I have a background. Maybe that's why Walter likes the Flash, because he's a red and he likes red. He's a Republican. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe.
It might. Maybe.
Yeah. Well, I forgot. Manny usually asks the first question after rapid fire. Manny, I step over your first question. What's your question, Manny?
No, it's okay. What do you consider to be along the border cities, along the border area anyway, your hot button topic?
The wall. It's always the wall, except for Zapata County. Zapata County, it's the lake. And this conversation right here, Zapata County, is what really changed my tune just a touch. I'm still 100%. If we need a border wall wherever our Border Patrol asks us for one, period. But when I went to Zapata the first time formally, very first thing that every single elected officials, regular people, they said, Sandra, we need help with our lake. It's dying. This used to be our crown, and now it's a laughing joke. You know what I mean? But what hurts the most is that we've lost all of our way of life because we don't have it anymore. And so when I started doing a little bit more research and I started talking to people that were just a touch, my thing is I'm not the smartest person in the room, which is okay, because that means that I have to ask questions and talk to the experts, right?
Yeah.
So when we started talking and started peeling back some layers, when we started realizing that if we got rid of a lot of stuff on our river, carrizo cane, for example, sugar oak trees, for example. Neither one of those were native to our area at all. They're not even native to the United States. They're hurting our rivers. They're 100% hurting our river. They're eroding our shoreline, for starters, and they soak up so much water.
Yeah.
If we could get rid of that, now we're breathing life into our ecosystem again, but we're also helping our agents. We're putting up that natural border that we have, but we don't want to have that conversation. Do we still need a wall? Absolutely. There's still places in our district that need walls? Absolutely. But for the places that don't necessarily need a wall, and we can put a heavier concentration of agents, which we need, let's put those natural barriers into place. So that, for me, that's our big thing. It's that river wall / lake conversation. And, by doing this, we're going to have clean water in our river again, which would also allow some of our smaller cities between here and Mission that don't even have clean water because they don't have access to it from the river and the lake anymore. See, these are real conversations that have not been being talked about.
How easy or how difficult would it be to get rid of those trees in order for us to be able to have that natural barrier?
So it would actually be a lot easier than we think that it would be. But what we need to do is we have to get the environmentalists on board, because they like to come back and say, oh, no, you're gonna actually hurt our river. No, these are invasive species that don't even belong in South Texas. In fact, I believe they didn't even come to South Texas until like the 1940s or 50s or something along those lines. So it's not. And if you go to here in Webb County, for example, Father Magnoble Park, it's a place that I love dearly. It's where my kids and I have spent tons of time because of our baseball games and all that kind of stuff. You can see where it's literally eroding the thing. The Border Patrol and DHS has to go through and just kind of mow it down every so often. So even if it wasn't an invasive species, it's still hurting. Yeah, what is it doing at this point? It's just stubble. It doesn't make sense. We just need to get rid of it. And on the border security side of things, they have to keep it short because packages get lost in there, people get lost in there, agents get lost in there.
Yeah.
Those are big problems. On the environmentalist side, we clean that up. You go down to Zapata Lake, for example, they're about 30 underwater in terms of dead. They should be 33 feet higher. The fish are dying in the water because they don't have enough oxygenation. So when we bring that life back, imagine how much healthier our river is going to be in our area, and the plants that are actually supposed to be there can now come back to life. We're in a desertous area, and we're not doing anything to take care of our natural water resources. It's stupid, and it doesn't make any sense. I don't understand how the environmentalists come off talking about how we're hurting ourselves when we get rid of an invasive species that never belonged here in the first place. It's redundantly stupid.
Sometimes environmentalists don't make any sense, but hey, it is what it is. If those of you that are watching us right now live that are new to the program, please like and share our page. We'd love to receive your help and your like. But also, if you're watching us on YouTube, please do us a favor and subscribe to our channel. We'd like to try to get 100 subscribers at some point. That's a really cool number for us, so we'd like to get there at some point. We've been growing really, really well on Facebook, but not as fast as we want on YouTube. So that'll be great. Josh, I haven't let you ask a second question. Josh, you have a question?
Well, I was going to ask. You just kind of touched on this earlier, Sandra. What ways can we work with the Mexican government to promote or foster good interactions with them? Because it seems like so much of the time we're either focusing on the illegal border crossings or the drug issue. What can we do to help foster good cultural relations with them?
Well, I mean, right now I remember a few years back, and forgive me on being a little bit bland on it, but I think it wasn't too long after we moved down here to South Texas. Nuevo Laredo area, I believe is where it was, went through 5 or 6 chiefs of police in one summer. And it wasn't because they were quitting. It was because they were being murdered by the cartel. So if we really want to help Mexico and be able to foster better relationships with them, how about we get the bully off their back, right? As kids, I teach my boys, and I know several others do also. if you see somebody being picked on, if you see somebody being bullied, stop it. We literally are not stopping it. So if we stop that, then we can allow them to, kind of get a little bit more oomph under their belt, and we can have a better relationship. I don't think it's because the Mexican government doesn't want it. I think it's because they're literally just being bullied in a gun-free zone by people with tons of guns.
It's insane. So would you support, piggyback off the cartel, would you support naming cartels a foreign terrorist organization?
Absolutely. I mean, that's exactly what Chip Roy has been trying to do, and he gets no traction with it. And that is earlier we were talking about what legislation that I'd be willing to put forward. That's the kind of legislation that I'm willing to put forward.
And hopefully Chip Roy will win his race as well. He has a really tough against Wendy Davis at Barbie. I haven't asked you any of the issues because I'm assuming you're conservative, but I might as well ask you now. How pro-life are you? Are you to the right of Attila Hun? Where are you on the political spectrum?
I am 100% pro-life. In fact, I say it all the time. We have to quote my dear friend Frank Pomeroy, who's running for Senate District 21 against Judith Zaffarini. Life is precious from the womb to the tomb, and we've got to protect it. And that means that we got to quit funding abortions on any level and start funding adoptions. Let's start putting that back into the plate. Look, I don't care. The breakdown is like 8% is what the federal government ends up paying at Planned Parenthood. That's 8%. That's far too much as far as I'm concerned. No, we've got to. Life is precious. Life is precious.
What are your feelings on cannabis and overregulation of cannabis and marijuana? I'm asking this question because there is a push within the Republican Party to legalize marijuana at the state level. This hasn't happened. You have people like Sid Miller who support deregulating or improving cannabis stuff. So it's within our party. Well, I want to say our party because I'm not a Republican, I'm a conservative, but it is within the conservative movement. What are your feelings on marijuana for the young kids out there?
So it's kind of funny. I remember filling out my federal questionnaire on it during primaries, and I kind of laughed. I was like, I almost look like the pothead candidate. I'm not, but I firmly believe that marijuana, medical marijuana, is far better than half of the stuff that the FDA has approved. Yeah. I think if we do it responsibly, we do it right, we do it well, then we can be leaps and bounds of it goes back to that whole pharmaceutical conversation we were having earlier. I personally know people who have been amazing military careers, those kinds of things, amazing people, work hard, pay their taxes, all those kinds of things. One of them, she was on bipolar medicine. And it literally was turning her into a zombie. She was it made her even worse for her depression days, kind of made her a little bit manic. And they were having to go through different medications all the time. They couldn't find a good cocktail for her, literally. So she moved to a green friendly state, if you will. And she said, and I've witnessed it firsthand, night and day difference. I mean, and she doesn't have side effects like she did. She didn't have days on end where she couldn't get out of bed anymore. She could be a mom. She could run her life and do the things that she needed to do. The same, I've military friends who have had, severe injuries, and the military just prescribes, high doses of Motrin or hydrocortisone or, whatever, shots and surgeries and shots. They get out, they move to green friendly states. And they said, I haven't had to take another one of those prescription pills, and I'm in way better shape than I've ever been. And, so if we don't start having, yet again, real conversations instead of hype conversations, nothing's going to change. So, and even, to an extent for recreational use, if we regulate it the same way we do tobacco and alcohol, why are we not collecting the taxes on it? It just makes sense.
At the federal level. And I think I misspoke earlier when I was talking about Sid Miller. I think he's more in the hemp area, but I think he's moving in that direction. I know hemp. I don't want to misspeak for Sid. Sid's a good guy. He's a good agriculture commissioner, so I don't want to disrespect him.
And hemp has a lot of really powerful. We're seeing it in our cattle. We see, even people who work out a lot. They have like the hemp whey shakes kind of thing. You know what I'm talking about? And it has a better overall quality to it.
Yeah, it's great. Manny, do you have another one? I want to include Manny and Josh in it because sometimes I have hard questions, but it's okay because I'm the dude, so I'm me.
You think
No,
you're the dude.
I am.
yeah, he thinks he's a dude. No, I think we covered it pretty good. We did a lot of good.
Yeah.
Covered a good range.
So we told you an hour, so it's 54 minutes in. So I'm very respectful of people's time. Is there any question or topic that we haven't discussed here that you feel so strongly about that you want to mention it now and include that in your closing thoughts for today?
My big thing, and I've hinted on it a little bit, and I've even said it quite a few times. I'm all about we the people. I want to do things that I haven't ever seen done with how I communicate with our people, how we get the feedback back and forth, and things along those lines. Once I'm elected, we're going to do things completely different. This is no longer your grandparents' politics. This is politics for the 21st century with the feel of the founding fathers, because they wanted you to be in charge of your government, not other forces. That's why we broke off from England, right? We're not a monarchy system anymore. The power is supposed to be with the people, and that's exactly where I'm going to give it. So, get to know me. I tell everybody Facebook is the best place to get to know me. My website's amazing, especially if you hit contribute now. That's even better, which is SandraForTexas.com. But get to know me on Facebook. I do, like I said, I love to do live so that I can keep you guys informed of what's going on, where we're at. I'm real people because you're real people, and that's exactly what we need to be.
I appreciate it. I should ask this question. Have you and Henry, Congressman Cuellar, actually, and I want to make sure I call in Congressman Cuellar because I've been giving MJ Hager a big hard time because I think it's ridiculous that she calls Senator Cornyn John because she thinks it's so cool to do that. But have you all even debated at all?
No, we have asked for a debate. We emailed his office. We've called it out on multiple interviews. We've said it on our lives multiple times, and we have not gotten any response. I know that he did not want to debate with Cisneros because he didn't want to give her free press. So, I we're this far in the game. I doubt seriously that he will debate us, and that's okay. I have met him twice, and I'll kind of use that loosely. The first time was before officially I was running, and the second time was at the WBCA parade. He was in his pickup truck getting, driven through the parade because he's the incumbent. So he was allowed to be formally in the parade, and I was walking. But the fun part is that I got to interact with the people. And even once I'm elected and we have a really cool float, because it'll be the coolest float ever, I will still be walking along the parade route because I want to be with the people.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I failed to ask that question. So, guys, please do us a favor. If you live in Mission, Palmview, Starr County, please make sure you go out and try to vote for Sandra. We need somebody different in office, somebody who cares about you all and wants to help you all. So, our page doesn't do endorsements. I can't really vote for you, but I might as well endorse you now as a person, and I will, because I think it's important to have a Republican, a conservative like yourself there. We need to have that voice. So if you're more than welcome to come on anytime you want to, especially if you're elected, come on. Even if you're not elected, come on anytime. Let us know and give us an update as to what's happening in your campaign. I didn't even ask you about early vote, where you've been, and so maybe in a couple of weeks you can come back on. You can tell us how early vote went for you. And
absolutely,
even if it was like 5 or 10 minutes, like we did on Monday night, which was great. Who do we have on tomorrow, Manny?
Tomorrow, what do we got tomorrow? It's Friday. We have. First of all, we got ladies' night tomorrow night.
Okay.
Yeah. We're doing that at 7:30. Try to get a few of our super fans or people who really do contribute and have them live on the panel with us and just kind of an informal thing.
And Saturday at 7:30, our RioPolitics live show, we're going to have Chuck V, who's running for Justice of the Peace out in Western Cameron County. And then on quickly but surely favorite. Awesome. Thanks, Roy. I appreciate it, Ray. And then on Sunday, we will have RioPolitics Live crew coming talking about Republican stuff, conservative stuff, commentary. That's what we do on Sundays, every Sunday. And then on Monday, we will have probably Brownsville Port Commissioner and also the chairman of the Brownsville Navigation District, John Reed, who's running for re-election. And did we get who I wanted to get for Tuesday? Manny?
I haven't got the confirmation yet, but it's in the works.
Okay, yeah, we're pretty sure we're going to have a surprise, awesome guest on Tuesday. Hopefully over the weekend we'll be able to announce that question. Just for you all know, I will not be this next Wednesday. I will not be here on Wednesday. I start my quarter. I have to start teaching and earn some money. So Wednesday night I will not be here, but the show will still be here without me. So you all be having Manny, unfortunately, and I get to. While the cat's away, the mice are going to play, and so my little mice are going to play. But it's okay. You ladies will have Manny, the eye candy. He is the eye candy, Sandra, for our show. We have random women that just want to watch the show because of Manny, and I don't get it.
It was hard to I had to keep reminding myself, look at the camera. All three of you. I was like, what's happening here?
It's okay, no worries, we're good. So next week we have a busy week. So that's our update. And then the following Thursday, next Thursday, we were originally going to have presidential debate talk today, but we didn't. So next week we'll have presidential debate night coverage here on RioPolitics. So thanks for joining us, guys. God bless you. It's been an hour. Thanks for all the comments. Be sure to like and share the page. And this video in particular, like and share the video so that Sandra gets a little extra publicity. I would appreciate it. So God bless you all. This is RioPolitics Live. We don't make the news. We just help you see it. God bless you all. Good night. Bye.
Good night, everyone.
Sandra, stay with us real quick for a second, okay?
Will do.